Oh, there we go. Okay, go live.
All right. I'm pulling up the presentation over here on my side.
I think I am live too. Yep, I'm live. Good.
Yay! All right.
All right.
It took a few minutes, but we got it all figured out. Oh, no, I cannot go full screen. Ah. All right. Let's hide that. I'm not going to go full screen because I want to be able to flip back and forth with some stuff. All right, so it's Saturday morning. We are hanging out here and having ourselves a good old time. And I am trying to get everything all pulled up just right. So we're the EduSoulmates, and I'm Samantha, and that's Jennifer. And as promised, this is our first live Saturday session. Because it's live, you never know what will happen. We might have some craziness in the background, but you know, we're real people just like y'all. We're moms, and you know, we're both hot messes sometimes, just like everybody else is. So we're glad that you're here with us. If you're watching live, or if you are joining us later on after this has been recorded. So I'm trying to pull up my Seesaw account, and I'm going to go ahead and present my screen. A Chrome tab. Ooh, this is very interesting. Share. All right, so today we are talking about Google Classroom and Seesaw, and this is more of my jam because I am primarily elementary school. I do have some background in high school, but Google Classroom and Seesaw are much more friendly to elementary age children. So I'm going to share my Google Classroom. Let's just take a quick tour of Google Classroom and what it looks like. So this is a sample class that I have set up in Google Classroom, and I don't have a lot going on in here because our district has mandated Seesaw for K-5. So the experience that I have with Google Classroom was primarily a couple of years ago before our district settled on Seesaw as our LMS for elementary. We were all just kind of exploring Google Classroom and could see what it would do. But it has come a long way in the years since I first started working with it. Wouldn't you agree with that, Jen? Do you feel like it's made a lot of improvements, especially since we have gone with COVID and, you know, so many people have gone remote and hybrid? Like, Google has really stepped up to the plate and made adjustments to it to make it more user-friendly.
Yeah.
So let's take a look. So when you open up your Google Classroom account, it may look something like this. You can add classes. Some districts may have it integrated where your classes automatically populate, but I've always had to go in and set up my classes on my own. So when you tap on it, this is what it looks like. You can change the theme, you can change the name, you go to class code. You can generate a Google Meet link for your class that stays the same. You don't get a different link every time. And this is what they call the stream, and it looks very much like Facebook used to look, like the Facebook stream. This is where announcements are posted. This is where assignments can be posted. Anything that you want to share with your class. So you can share things. You can add things to it. You can just type an announcement. If you go over to classwork, this is where your assignments live. And you can see I don't have anything in here. You can create assignments and questions. You can use topics. You can order the work the way you want the students to see it. If you want it to be in chronological order or subject order, or however you want to. You have access to Google Calendar. It creates a Google Calendar specifically for your class, which is really nice if you've got some older children who you want to promote the look at your calendar, look at when things are due. It also gives you a class drive folder. So all of your Google Classroom stuff lives in that one specific drive folder. Then under people, this is where you would see teachers and students. You can add co-teachers to your course, which is a very nice option, especially if you are team teaching or maybe you have students who get EC services or ESL services. You can have all of those people connected to your course. Once you populate students in, if you are a Gmail district and your students use a Gmail address, and it doesn't have to look like a Gmail address, but it's, what is that called? Like, it's hosted by Gmail?
Yeah, G Suite, essentially.
G Suite. Okay, so like a G Suite, G Suite address, then you can actually email them from here, or you used to could. Can you still do that?
I think you still can, and you can also add parents as observers.
Yes, that is right. I forgot about that too. So that's a really nice option. Something that Google Classroom started since I have used it last, and I'm kind of a little bit jealous of this because they didn't have this option when I was utilizing Google Classroom, is they now have a grade book. So you can actually, I think if I remember correctly, because I have played with it a little bit, but never like large scale because I've never really run a big class in Google Classroom since the gradebook came, but you can actually like export it to Google Sheets and print it out. I mean, it's really kind of a nice little option there. So it does not, as far as I understand, it does not mesh with PowerSchool. So like you
not
still
yet.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll come down the pike sooner than later because Google wants to keep their skin in the game.
Yep.
But right now they're not friendly with each other. But as a lot of districts are starting to mandate the transition to Canvas, I think we're going to see Google go beg and ask for how can we work together.
Yeah. I mean, I think that integration is coming because Google integrates with so many other things. They integrate with Canvas, they integrate with Seesaw. They, have so many different options. I do believe eventually that will come. I think there's probably a lot of conversations that have to happen about data and privacy, all those higher level things that, we have to worry about when we start talking about students' educational privacy. So,
something really cool, Samantha, if you'll click back on classwork, that I really like is if you click on the create button, you see that you got the ability to do an assignment and an assignment quiz to generate questions, but the material button is probably one of my favorites because if I just want to give my kids a PowerPoint, but I don't want them to have to, like, I just want it to be a resource and not necessarily a task. I can go and just give them just the PowerPoint there so it's a reference source. So this is kind of like their textbook.
Nice.
And I really like that feature.
I like that because like used to it was either an assignment or an announcement, and those were the only options you have. That is cool.
So yeah, I could put that at like the beginning of my my topic area. I could give them their instruction there and then list their assignments below it so that way they have all of their assignments below.
Oh, well, now this is cool. Like, this really has come this has come a very long way since I last used it. Wow. I'm impressed.
Yeah. So you can also make topics on the right-hand side, which that
is so neat.
Yeah.
Rename, delete. Oh, and then you can like copy the link just to that topic. Oh, wow. I am massively impressed.
So I'm going to show you really quickly. Let's see if I can screen share my side really quick.
Okay, I stopped my share, so you should be able to share. Okay,
I'm going to show really quickly one of our social studies teachers. He has a really cool, he sets his stuff up. And so I'm going to give a shout out to him because he has this really cool layout for how he does things. But he the links out here so that his students have the links into his classroom and they can go do the things that they're supposed to do. And so I really like that. That's just super cool. He's got it very spelled out exactly what they're supposed to do, and he uses
Nice.
Google Classroom. So that's what works well for him.
I'm telling you, those linked agendas are a pain in the hiney as a teacher to create, but they are so valuable for students and for
Yes.
parents. Oh my gosh. Like, I'm going to talk more about that in Seesaw, because, like, I don't even know. I don't even want to talk about how long I spent yesterday making linked agendas. But I mean, like, it is an incredibly valuable thing. So I'm going to pull up, I'm going to go back and share my screen a little bit so we can talk just a little bit more about Google Classroom. Um, right there. All right, so one of the great things about Google Classroom is that it does fully integrate with Google Suite. So anything that Google makes, you can integrate it into Google Classroom. I will say, I think it's good for grades probably third or fourth and up. I've had some third graders that I feel would be great with Google Classroom, and then I've had some third graders that, I don't know. But definitely not younger than third grade. You know, like, I feel like that's kind of like the breaking point. It will let you do a modules look, you know, or topics, linkable materials. You can do rubrics. Is that plagiarism checker built in?
Yeah, I saw that yesterday when I was playing. Yeah.
That's
Now I don't know if that's county based, like if the counties have to specifically
uh-huh.
or turn it on. But I saw it on mine yesterday when I was playing around in Google Classroom.
Nice. The one thing I will say, and this is more of like a parent end of it, is to be mindful of what devices students are using to access. So some activities are hard to complete without a keyboard. So for example, if you send something to students in Google, it's like a Google slide presentation that you have, that you've created, and maybe it's like their daily work, like, or that's, you know, they've got an assignment to do and it's a slide. If a student is using a laptop or a Chromebook, it's very easy for them to manipulate things. You know, they can get in there, they can click in the text boxes, they can move, drag, whatever. If a student is using a tablet-based device, it can be a lot harder to navigate those Google Slides on a tablet, within
Mhm.
Google Classroom. So, I mean, you kind of have to be mindful of what your students are, how they're accessing it, and that goes back to, you know, knowing what your students are doing, checking the student experience, before you send stuff out. It also offers a grade book. We talked about that. All right, so Seesaw is my current jam. Seesaw, is ruling my life right now. So we're gonna take a tour. Let's see. So let me get into my Seesaw, and I have a demo class set up for this. So let's see. Share this tab instead. Okay, so this is when you go into Seesaw. This is what Seesaw looks like. And you can see this is my school account. And I have access to 29 classes, which is making me just a tad bit crazy. Just
The
a tad.
182 notifications is what would drive me nuts.
Oh, 182 is great, Jen, because normally when I log in, it is, in the 500 or 600s. And if I go more than 24 hours without trying to clear some of them out, then we'll get up to like 900 or 1,000. It doesn't take long. And I'll explain why that is in just a few minutes. It's not because I'm not checking my Seesaw. Okay, I am checking my Seesaw, but there's some other stuff going on. So, this is what I like about Seesaw, is that it's very easy for students, especially like K2 babies, to navigate. It does have a class journal, just like, it's like a feed. Okay, you can see I was playing around with it. Your students are all listed over here. You can sort by activities. You know what kind of activities you've done, scheduled, archived. There is an inbox, and this is the thing that this is one of the things I don't really like about Seesaw, is you can send a class announcement, but you can't send individual messages unless the parent messages you first. Then you can respond, but you can't send something individually.
Mm.
But you do have the option to connect your parents. You can see it will let you, connect your family. It does have a skills option, which I'm still kind of exploring. You can tag skills in certain assignments, and then you can kind of see, you can star it. I'll show you more about that in just a second. So I'm going to go back to my journal here. This green add button is where you live your life in Seesaw. You can either post student work, you can assign an activity, or you can send an announcement. So I'm going to go in here to assign activity, and this takes you to your activity library. Now this is specifically by default it opens up to your library. And so you can see yesterday I spent a lot of time making my agendas for next week. So this is what Thursday's agenda looks like for my students, for my first grade friends. It's got like all of their stuff, and all of these things over here are linked, but see, you can't click on them. If you click View Original, then it will pull up the whole thing, and you can actually go in here and click on things. You can link all sorts of stuff in here. You can link your Seesaw assignments, which is what we're asked to do. They ask us to go in and actually put the student link for the Seesaw assignment beside it. So we push these out every day at 7 a.m. So that the kids have like an agenda. They can see what they're doing for the week or for the day. On Sundays at 5 p.m., we push out a weekly agenda. That way they kind of know what's going on for the whole week. I'll show you what that looks like. There's one right there. So I'm not going to pull all that up. But it has, day by day what they're doing per subject, and then the next page of that has like all my standards on it because they want us to put our standards on there. But here's what else is really cool about this library is you can put all kinds of things in here. Like you can do activities. So I'll show you. You can see as I'm scrolling through, there's all kinds of things that you can do. You can build these. You can find these. I was trying to find one that I created. There we go. So this is an assignment that I created for STEM. And this is what I really like about this. You can create a video and you can put that in. Then you give your student instructions. There's your title. There's your instructions. You can record yourself saying the instructions, which is so important for pre-readers and low readers. And then you can actually attach the activity. So the students would come into the activity, they'd watch the video where I kind of introduce the activity, what they're going to be doing, I kind of talk them through it. They have the option to review the story, because this is a story that we started last week called How to Code a Sandcastle, super cute. And then they have an activity to complete. And when they go into the activity, they can, I wanted to see if it would let me try it as a sample student. Not today. When they go into the activity, they can actually drag and drop things in order. So they can click on this and pull it over. It's really nice. I'll show you what that part looks like in just a second. You can also access the public shared library of activities. So I'm all about not reinventing the wheel.
Absolutely.
Why make things harder than they have to be? So there's a huge activity library that people have just put stuff in, and you can sort it by grade. You can sort it by subject.
It's nice that it looks like you can sort by standards too, or find things based on
standards. Yes, you can find things based on standards. You can see trending searches. You can kind of see what people have done. They give you a popular this week, and when you find something that you like, Teen 10 Frame Scavenger Hunt, that looks kind of interesting. So I can pull it up and I can look at it, and then I can click this heart button and it adds it to my library.
Okay.
So now I can go back to my library. And it's being very slow. And go back to my library and see now there it is. And I can either assign it just like it is, the way that I found it, or I can open it up. And if I want to change something on it, you know, I want to add a video or I want to add something else, I can click right here and do copy and edit activity. And then I can make whatever changes I want to make to it and save it. And then I can assign that, which is really nice. And then
That's
if I want to
awesome,
take it out of my library, you know, like I put something in there and I don't really want it, I can just do remove from my library. And it's gone.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean it's really a nice way to find things. So I'm just going to pretend that I'm a student. Sample student. It always gives you the option to have a sample student. This is what the student interface looks like. So it pulls up the thing. They can always go back and view the instructions, which is super nice.
Okay.
And then they have all of these tools. This is a move tool, a pen, a pencil, a highlighter. This is like a cool sparkly tool. Everybody likes the sparkly tool. They can change the color. They can erase things. This is a text tool. They can record themselves talking about what they've done. This is a camera and a video. They can add shapes. They can change their background. They can add a link. I mean, there's tons of things that ways that you can do in this. So like here, if you see a leaf, then choose a consonant, else choose a vowel. So this is if-then coding. So I see a leaf, so I'm going to choose a consonant, and I'm just going to select my move tool, and it's an unlocked to move. Why are we not unlocked? Unlock, okay. And then, oh, it doesn't want me to do that. I'm just going to do a text, so I'm going to put A. And then I can go in here and just manipulate this. I can make it bigger, I can make it smaller, and then I can just put it over there. I can change the color of it. I mean, there's all kinds of things. And then when the student is done, they just click this check mark. It uploads it, and then as a teacher, it notifies you that you have new responses. I'll show y'all my homeroom just real quick. So you can see down here at the bottom of my journal, when it comes up, it tells me I have 8 unapproved posts. So those are posts, those are things that I need to go in and review as a teacher and grade and give feedback to, that kind of thing. I also have all of my specials classes in here. That's one reason that I have so many notifications, is because all of the classes that I'm a co-teacher in show up in my list. So, and then I get to see all their notifications too. It's lots of fun. It's lots of fun. That is a beautiful thing about that too. If you're a co-teacher in Seesaw, you can assign things to classes that you're a co-teacher in, which is really super fun and nice, because like the first grade team that I'm with, and it has been crazy pants becoming a first grade teacher, a remote first grade teacher with no first grade experience. But I have a really awesome team, and so we all create lessons, and we're all co-teachers in each other's classes. So when I create, like let's say I have a lesson on Monday that I've made, when I assign it to my class, I assign it to everybody else's class too. So like what I do on Monday is what everybody is doing on Monday, which is really nice. So when they assign things, it loads into my class. It's really, I mean, it's really a beautiful thing for co-teaching.
Yeah.
Did I miss anything? Do you think I missed anything?
Not that I'm aware of. I'm not a Seesaw person, so I don't Seesaw. But sure, it sounds great.
Yeah, it sounds fabulous. So hang on, like I will pull up. I'll pull up the presentation again. I'm so scattered this morning. I just am struggling because I don't want to miss anything. All right, so things to note in Seesaw. It is very younger child friendly. It is very iPad, tablet friendly. Like, they don't have to have a keyboard to access it. You have the ability to pull in links, PDFs, Google Drive files. I mean, you can pull in a bunch of different stuff. I will tell you, it is picky about videos. Like, it will tell you if you try to upload a video, it'll kind of fuss with you a little bit. Like, this is a very large file, and it might take some time to upload. So I've always been a little bit more successful with putting in links. But, I mean, it just kind of gives you a warning. It doesn't tell you that you can't. It just gives you a warning. In my opinion, it is not as teacher-friendly as I would like for it to be. Just because the navigation of it as a teacher can be complicated. And I'll show you, when you go in here and you go to your activities, I'm going to look at my scheduled activities for next week, if it will come up. It sorts them by date. So let's say I needed to go in here and I needed to edit my Monday or my Friday, like my midweek activities. And I go in here to edit, and I edit something. And then when I save it, instead of taking me right back to where it was, it takes me back to my assigned to class when I was working in my scheduled tab. So sometimes it feels like there's a lot of extra clicks, and that's not necessarily as teacher friendly. But because the program is so child friendly, I can kind of overlook that. It will track skills by standard. I'm still exploring this option. So there's a way like you can tag your assignments with a standard, like a state standard. And then when the student completes the assignment, you can it's like a 4-star rating, 1, 2, 3, or 4. And you can give them a star. And then you can go into the skills tab and you can kind of see how the students are progressing on each skill. I've not really played with that a lot. Again, it's a lot of extra clicks, and I just really haven't had time for it. I do think it would be something that's brilliant for standards-based grading, if that's what your school system does for K1 kids or K2 kids. They released brand new features this week. You can pin a post to the top of your feed, but you can only pin one post. I can't figure out how to make it do multiples. And there is now a calendar view, so you can go into, and that has been hugely helpful. You can go into your calendar, and you can see how many activities are assigned on each day. And if you click that day, it will actually pull up the activities, and you can see what you assigned that day. And you can see this one says, I have 3 responses waiting for teacher approval. So there's 3 things that I need to look at there. That is a nice new feature that it's got. The notifications can make you lose your mind. Just to put it nicely, it can make you lose your mind. We informally had kind of a contest at school to see who could get the highest Seesaw notification number. And we would text each other like, "Oh, look at my number today," because it will make you.
Hey, that means kids are doing things. That's a positive.
Yes, it does mean that kids are doing things, which is really nice. I have never used Seesaw except for the school version, so I don't know what the free version features are, but I do know that there are some differences in the free and the school version. I think most of that has to do with the amount of assignments that you can assign at the time and how many activities you can have in your library. I think those are the major differences. And there is a large library of shared assignments. Like I said, I don't know what the free version, I've never messed with it. There is a really good group on Facebook called Seesaw Teachers. And they are always like sharing helpful tips, like, life hacks for using Seesaw. Um, so that's a really good little group I've seen. I've not been as active in it as I kind of wanted to be, but I see a lot of stuff coming out of there. And it has been very kind of like the Canvas teachers group on Facebook that everybody raves about. The Seesaw teachers group is kind of a nice thing too.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we are Jen and Sam. You got anything else you want
Yeah.
to add today?
Next week, our session is going to be best practices for student experience. So,
Yes.
yeah. So, I mean,
I'm very passionate about that subject.
yeah. So make sure you tune in next Saturday. It will be a YouTube video, just like we've done in past Saturdays. And if you are somebody that feels like you have some great tips that you would love to do a Saturday session with us, and uh, and you want to like reach out to us, you can either message either of us or you can comment on this post.
Or you can
Uh,
text us if you have our numbers.
yeah. Or if you're one of our coworkers, just march on down to our rooms and say, "Hey, I want to join you." We would love to have some other people hop in here with us and share some of their experiences, things that are working well for them in their schools.
Mm-hmm.
So reach out to us. We would love to have your input. We would love to work with you.
I would love to have some hybrid. I know, Jen, I know you're teaching hybrid right now. Your kids are there part time and
Mhm.
then they're home part time. I would love to have some more input from the hybrid teachers. Because I'm doing all this remote stuff. So that would be
Yeah.
nice to have some people who are kind of on both sides of it.
And we're going to be really vague about this, but Sam and I got a really cool email last week, and we're so excited about something that's coming up soon.
Mm-hmm.
As we have more information, we are definitely going to share with you guys. But stay tuned, active in our group, and invite your EduSoulmate to join us in our group, so that way we can all work together to make great. All right, have a great Saturday,
All
everyone.
right, bye.